Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Michelle Jatrissa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up. Thank you for joining me today. Please jump on, say hello. Deborah is already here. Thank you, Deborah, for joining us. It's great to have you. But please jump on, say hello, let us know where you're from. It's always wonderful to see new people jumping on and having a look. If you are on YouTube, please like my channel and give me a thumbs up if you enjoy what we're going to be doing today. Now, today we're going to be doing a little bit of scrapbooking. It's something that I've been trying to get myself back into doing more of. And I have been saving up. I purchased this Frames and Flowers. I'm not quite sure whether you'd call it. It's not really. It's a specialty designer series paper. There you go. It's not a suite. It's just a collection of papers with coordinating die cuts that have all been pre-cut for you. I've been saving this since I first saw it, when I purchased it, when the catalogue first came out, and just waiting for the right photos to use with it. Now, in this specialty designer series paper, you only get 3 sheets of designer series paper. They are double-sided, as you can see here by the images. I've cut most of mine up, but I should be able to show you what there is. So there's this one here, which is a one and only page I haven't cut up yet. Hi, Linny. Thanks for joining. And on the back is that little print there. You also have, and if I can find a piece of it, hold on a second. Okay. I've only got strips left of these two. So you also have this one here, which has got like a petal pink background with just more general just leaves, and then the background of that one is like a water wash. There is a variation or a variegated colour in that one in the Lost Lagoon. And then you have this one here, and the design on that side is this one with a slight grey background to it, which is quite beautiful. And then you have a whole stack of these dies. Let me just bring this up so you can actually see them. Now, in there, the dies there. So you've got these ones here, which all break up. As I said, they're all pre-cut for you, and you can use them for frames around photos. You can use them for card fronts. And then you have all of these dies here. Now, there's quite a few there. I have actually broken mine all up, and I've got them all sitting here ready to go. You've got some wonderful ideas here, how you can use them for tags and a little bit of packaging. And you can team it up with the Poise Peony stamps, or the other one that they've got using there. They've used a couple of different stamp sets there, but one that they have used is with the Mix and Match, and that's this one here, Simply Said. So there's quite a bit you could, and you're not tied down to just those sentiments. You could team up any sentiment and any font with this, because it is a beautiful all-rounded type design. But I'm wanting to use this in a scrapbook page, and I have been planning this out in my head. And when you plan things out in your head, they don't necessarily work out the way you think on paper. But anyway, we're going to have a little bit of a play. And I've got my photos and everything all printed, and let's get started. Okay, so the colours that go with this particular specialty paper are, whoops, just trying to balance things here. Let me grab it here, and I can tell you what colours go with it. Sorry, I had all sorts of ideas, as I said, going around in my head. So I've got bits and pieces here all over the place. And I was going to add some wood tonings to it, but I decided not to. But in the frames and flowers, the colours that they've recommended you could use with this are Early Espresso, Garden Green, Granny Apple Green, Lost Lagoon, Old Olive, Petal Pink, Pretty Peacock, Pumpkin Pie, Shaded Spruce, and Soft Sea Foam. So what I have decided to use as my base for my scrapbooking is Lost Lagoon. So I'm just going to grab my sheets here. So I've got Lost Lagoon as my base, and I'm doing a double spread here. So this is going to be interesting. I've cleared my table down as much as I possibly can. I still think I probably need another table the size. It's a dining room table size. The only thing I have, and this is just for me personally, I tend to like to have a textured paper. Stampin' Up paper is beautiful. It is lovely to stamp on because it is such a smooth, good stamping paper, but there is not much texture to it. So I've been trying to look around very quickly to see, is there some way I can add a little bit more texture or interest into my background pieces. So I was having a look through my masks. All the previous ones, unfortunately, discontinued. We don't have the masks. We've got masks for flowers and things like that, but not exactly geometric or anything like that. They've all been discontinued, but I can't find anything that I'm really wanting to use. So there's two stamp sets I've got here that I'm sort of thinking maybe introducing. I'm liking this one, even though it's oranges, and my photos were all taken at a winery. So there is fruit involved, but they're grapes. They're a lot smaller than oranges and lemons. But I sort of thought, if I'm doing a texture on here and I'll be stamping in Lost Lagoon onto Lost Lagoon, I don't want it to become overly bright on my page. So I may even just stamp off. If it doesn't work, we'll just flip the cardstock over and use the other side. The other one I was looking at is this little one here because it has got a very similar sort of flower or leaf to these ones here. They're a similar sort of shape and so forth. But I would have to do a lot of stamping in that. I want something that's going to be quick. So I'm sort of thinking at the moment going towards this one. So it's going to be a play and just sort of see how this goes, because I just want to put a little bit of texture, probably not too much, but just a little bit more on my pages. So I haven't even blocked this one out yet. So I'm just going to grab this stamp set here, or this stamp here, and take it out. I haven't even used this one. And I'm just going to use it as is. And we'll just pop that onto a block. And we're going to see how this is going to look. So fingers crossed it's going to look okay. I'm going to use a big block just for the fact that I can't pull out. Actually, I wonder if that's a better block there. It's a slightly smaller. I can get my hand around it much better. It's the problem with having small hands, small fat little hands. It's harder to hold the block. So let's have a look and see how this is going to look. Now, please let me know what you think. It is really just a wait and see. Now, remembering too that this will dry a little bit lighter than what we've got here. I'm going to put some Designer Series paper down this side, so I'm mainly looking at just putting a bit of texture on my paper on this side here. Now, I'm not quite sure whether I should be stamping this off. I might just stamp it off anyway, because, as I said, all I'm wanting to do is just add a little bit, just to give this paper not so much of a same sort of look. And we're not going to be doing this too closely, and hopefully when this ink dries it will dry a bit lighter. Hello Deborah. Hi Marie, how are you going? just turning the stamp around a little bit as we go around. So we're not all going the same direction. Now, the photos I'm using are photos that we took when my sister came out from England, and she spent about a month here in Australia visiting my parents and her in-laws, and we all got together for lunch one day in Mudgee. And unfortunately, the only people that weren't there was my nephew, who couldn't come out from England, and one of my sons. So it was really fantastic seeing all the cousins all getting together, and I forgot to stamp that off, but that's okay. We won't worry about that. I'm not going to be overly too fussed on it. And then I'm going to do the same on this one. But this time I'm actually going to have my paper, my designer series paper, down this side. So I'm going to stamp around this side here. So let's stamp off up there. Now I've already gone and had my photos all printed. Generally, when I get my photos printed, I have them printed in a mat, and I don't get borders because I like to add my own border around them. So I've already added some white cardstock. So already this is starting to look a little bit interesting. Oh, Maria, sorry to hear that you've been ill for 8 weeks. That's a long time. Yes, I bet you're glad to be out and about and doing things. It's like when you're ill and you're stuck inside all the time. It's a little bit like cabin fever. I get that because I'm sort of don't get out as much as I used to these days, just for the fact that I'm sewing so often. Just a couple of more. Make sure we stamp off. Don't want to forget to do that. And stamp off. Now, while I've been doing that, I've been thinking about another stamp that's actually in this set, which is this little one here. Now, this is the citrus blooms that I'm using. And then you've got this little one here. Now, as I said, I'm using this sort of, doesn't really go with this, but we're going to make it work. And again, I'm just going to stamp off. Just want to fill in a few of these little holes around the place. Not wanting to put too much in. Just making sure we stamp off each time. Turn this around so we get this in different directions. I think that's enough for that. I don't want to get too carried away. We'll just add a few onto this one. Okay, I think that's about it for now on that. Let's see how this all is going to look. Hi, Joan. How are you? Thank you for joining. Okay, so so that piece is going to go there, and then this one here is going to go there. So let's see how this is going to look. So I've already cut some strips. And let me just grab my photos and everything out so you can sort of see. So this is the main photo that I'm going to be using on this page. And I'm sorry about the glare. I'm just wondering whether, actually, we might just take that off completely. There we go. Okay, so that's the photo. And because I've only got one sheet of each, I've had to think very carefully about how I'm going to do this. So what I've done is I want to use this particular paper here. I've cut 2 strips of this, one for each layout, and they're about 4 inches or 10 centimetres in width. So I'll pop one of those to one side. Then I've got a strip of this one, which I really like that because it sort of picks up the bit of the pink in my sister's shirt. And then I've got this strip here, which is a reverse of this one here. And the Pretty Peacock is sort of picking up a little bit of the blues in my sister's outfit. I've got a little bit of Lost Lagoon, Pretty Peacock in my shirt, and Mum's got a little bit in her shawl as well. So I sort of thought these were the great colours that would work quite well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer this up a bit, but I want to have a strip there and probably have a little bit of plain Lost Lagoon at the edge. Then I'm going to layer this one here on top, just leaving a little bit of an edge there. And then this one here, and again, so making that a little bit wider and bringing that in there. So if I move this piece here out of the road for the moment, just so then we can work and see one page at a time, then this piece is going to come down on there. So I'm just hoping all the stamping I've done there is just going to add that little bit of interest, a little bit of texture without taking away from the photos. So because they really, leaves are about the only thing that goes with it. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you like that? Or can't use the back of that because I've got stuff all over it now. Because I should have just let me wipe this down. I've got ink all over my glass mat, and it's just left a bit of ink on my. Should have done that. Clean the glass mat, Michelle. So some of the ink has transferred, so I probably have to now stick with what I've got the way we're going. It'll work. We'll make it work. Okay. But it just gives a bit of extra texture. So let's start by putting these together. Now, as I said, I've taken my photos, I've matte them on a piece of white cardstock, my basic white, because you can have them printed with a border, but I like to add my own border to it because it just adds a little bit more stability also to your photo. So let's pop all these together. So what I want to do is run a little bit of glue down this edge. Now basically I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the other one. So I'll grab the other ones in a moment and we'll do both sides together. And I just want to pop this on just to give it a bit of a border of around about that much. So let me just grab the other one. So there's my other strip and that one. So we'll do the same with this one. Now I'm just going to watch the design on this particular paper because it is pretty much a one-way design, meaning that the leaves all go in one direction. Okay, so all of them, the bottom of the stems or the end of the leaves are down here in the top there. So I want to make sure that we're keeping this going in the same. So if this one here is going to go there, then this one here has to glue onto this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that piece around because it doesn't matter so much with that one. And I'm going to glue that one there. So it's mirror image basically. So this time I'm going to put a bit of glue on this side. Again, I'm just going to adhere that. I'm just going to use this as a guide, just a little bit more in. No, I think I might be stuck there now. That's all right. So we've got one for each side now. And now we're just going to pop a little bit of glue along here. And I'm going to just use my grid paper, so move this out of the road, line this up with my grid paper, which is what I probably should have done for the other one. And I'm going to pop that on about at the 2 centimetre mark. Whoops. Just want to see, line that up there at the 15. We'll pop that at 18. Oops, has to come down just that little bit more. It's just sticking that little bit quick for me. Oh, come on. That's better. So this one here is an all-over design. If you have a look for the same sort of the leaves are all going in different directions, unlike this one here. But it probably really wouldn't matter with the small strip that I've got there. So there's our first one done. And then we're going to do the same with this one here. Again, I'm just going to line that up so my second strip is at the 2 centimetre mark. Which is about there. And that's there. Okay, so that's the way we try to get the most we can out of this paper. So I'm going to have enough left over to make a couple of cards if I wanted to. So now we're going to take this one here and we're going to adhere it to our 12 by 12 card base or scrapbook base. Just giving myself a little bit of a border. Again, I'm just going to line this up so I can. I'm just sort of lining it up a little bit at the 75 mil mark or 0.7 of a centimetre. That's on that one. be a little bit out at the top, but I can trim that off a little bit in a little while. And then we're going to do the same thing on this one here, making sure that we've got that piece going around like that. Okay. Who is looking forward to seeing what Stampin' Up are going to bring out in the new catalogue? It's going to be all quite exciting, I think. I do know that they're bringing out another specialty designer kit, just like this one. Whoops. It's pretty out just that tiny little bit. Okay, so I'm just putting my multi-purpose glue away because now we'll go back to using my seal. It's when I come to scrapbooking, I generally don't like using glue, but there is the basis of my layout. So I'm just using a bit of colour. I've got a little bit of texture, which I'm hoping it will work out. So we're going to pop this photo onto here. I'm just going to move that out of my road again. So that photo is going to sit probably around about there, which is around about the middle. Well, it's really not the middle, quite middle, but just about there. And we're going to put a little bit of decoration around it to finish. So what I'm going to do is adhere that down first. And I'm just putting adhesive in the corners. I find that if I just put adhesive in the corners, if for some reason I do have to lift this up because I'm not happy with it, I can do so. Now, I have bought myself a little T-ruler just so then I can make sure I'm getting this all nice and lined up. Usually I do this by eye, but I sort of figure I'm not as young as I used to be. My eyes aren't as square as they used to be. Might just bring that down. Because I haven't got glue all over the back of it, I can sort of play around and lift it a bit. And it will all hold once it's in. That's it. Once it's in the page protector, it will all stay in place. So there's that one. This is actually quite a quick little layout, but taken a little while to plan it all. And then I've got photos here. There's one more that I've got here somewhere. Here it is. My husband is terrible. He's a great photographer, but he's terrible when he takes photos for scrapbooking for me because he doesn't take snaps, which means that I can't cut things down too much because he crops everything in. So I'm going to have this photo across the top, which is a panorama type photo, which is all, as I said before, we only had 2 kids not there. Well, they're not kids anymore. One of my sons couldn't make it, and my nephew from England couldn't come over. But otherwise, we've got all the cousins together with their partners. And in this photo down here, we've got all the cousins together with their aunt. And they probably hadn't seen her for around about 10 years, so they were all quite young when they last saw her. So we're going to add some adhesive to the top one there, and that one's going to go in around about that position, maybe slightly higher up. So I want to make sure that with this other photo, it's all maybe come down just a bit. That one's going to go there. Now, I'm quite an analytical type of scrapbooker. I love work done by a lot of other people, but I don't tend to get very game when it comes to getting things all over the place and different styles. I'm just trying to, sorry, I'm trying to talk and work out where these are all going to lay relative to each other all at the one time, and sometimes I can't do that. Do you do journaling on your pages? Yeah, I do. Sometimes I will do journaling. This will have journaling on here. I've got it all done. Sometimes I handwrite my journaling. Sometimes I will print my journaling. Just depends on how I'm feeling and where I've got to journal. I'll explain that in a second. Journaling, journaling for me is telling the story, and sometimes when I'm doing something like this, I can be very just do bullet type journaling where I just got a few bits and pieces that I want to put in there, which is what I've done today. Sometimes I will use a journaling box and write it all out by hand, because I think sometimes it is important to have your own handwriting, just for the fact that if you've got nice writing and so forth, it's great for if you want this passed on to your children and grandchildren and so forth, for them to see your writing. Because, I mean, I know I look back on my grandmother's, say, recipes, for example, and I go, oh, that's my grandmother's writing. And it really gives me joy seeing her writing, because she's not around anymore. So I think it is important that we do some of our journaling by hand. In something like this, where I'm actually going to be wanting to add my journaling out this side here, I don't necessarily want to write on my designer series paper. So I want my journaling to have a little bit more, either go into a journaling box, or in this case, I'm actually going to cut this into strips and have strips going across. And I've just realised that it's going to be going across maybe a little bit too far. I'll have to move these photos over a bit more. So, yeah, it really all depends. Yes, I do like doing my journaling. Sometimes I'll add journaling at a later date, when I've sort of had a bit more time to think about what I want to write. I'm just going to move these over just a fraction more. It's important to tell the main things is where your photo was taken, when it was taken, who's in it, and why, or what was happening. I recommend always to think about where, if someone was asking you a question, if someone was asking you what was happening in those photos. If you were sitting down and showing somebody your photos of a holiday or something, and you're telling them or sharing with them what you were doing, you would generally be telling them when, where, why. So that's what I tend to try to put into my journaling. There is nothing worse, and my parents have got a good example of it. We've got a suitcase of old heritage photos, even that belong to my father, and he doesn't even know what half the photos were. We know what some of them were, but there are photos in there of people that we are guessing who they are. You know, for example, he couldn't I remember him telling me once he didn't know the first names of his great-grandparents. We had photos, but I didn't know their names. I had to actually go back through births, deaths, and marriages and so forth and find them that way. So it is actually quite important to do journaling, and then where you're going to put it, it's up to you. I don't always do titles. I did have ideas that I wanted to do a title on this page. It was going to be family. It still could happen because I'm still trying to work out how to use my silhouette. I just haven't been game enough yet to get in there, and I just don't want to hand cut it at the moment. We don't have stamps or anything here suitable. So, I mean, I may add title to this. I don't always add titles. I tend to like to scrapbook in chronological order. So when you go through one of my scrapbooks, you will eventually find things are starting to go into order, into date-wise. I always try to, with my journaling here, I always try to put a date on it. So I've got here the 6th of April 2024 family reunion. So, yeah. I mean, journaling can be as small and as little as much as you want. But, yeah, I will do it. I'm going to cut this up now, and we'll add this, and then we're going to add some decoration around it because I want to use up a lot of these die cuts that come with this suite so you can actually see. That's why I wanted to put a little bit of a background. It didn't really matter too much. It didn't quite go with the photos. It's just a bit of texture in the background because some of this is all going to get covered up by the die cuts. But I am going to cut this up now. So what I've done here is I always do my journaling in Publisher. In Publisher, I go in and I make a journaling box. I work out roughly the size I want. So I worked out that this area here, I really wanted it about 9 centimetres and tried not to go much bigger than that. I knew I was going to be cutting it into strips, so I've left a bit of a distance between each portion. That way too, I can play with it a little bit. I can change a few of these sentences around and put them in different positions. I write and what I want to put into my journaling box. If I don't have a particular size that I'm after, I will go into Publisher and put it onto Best Fit. So that means it'll, the more you type, it'll get smaller and smaller, and it'll fit that into your journaling box for you. Because this one here I was going to cut up, I knew I didn't want it much smaller than 12, so I've put my print size or my font size on 12. As I said, I knew that I wanted my journaling box to be really no wider than 9 or 9.5 centimetres in width. And I just made it quite long because I'm going to cut it up. So I hope that helps you in working at that. And then I've just printed that. I'm very lucky that my Epson printer will take our cardstock. So not all printers will take the thicker cardstock. So that's something you would have to test out with your printer. I do like to print my journaling on vellum, but not all vellum will go through a printer. I think the one that we've had does, but again, it's a product that they've now discontinued. So if you get another vellum, you'd have to check it. I think most vellums these days, I would say, may possibly print, but there was years ago, and I'm going back quite a few years ago, that there was a lot of vellums out in the market that didn't print through a printer, and you actually had to spray it with a spray. The other thing I used to like printing on when it came to my journaling too is I used to like printing on it was a sheet of plastic that was the same plastic, and I can't think now what they call it, transparency, that they used for overhead projectors. And you could print on the transparency because they had a coating that'd be a similar sort of coating you'd put on a vellum. There was a coating on one side of it, and you had to print on that side. And that allowed the ink to adhere to, it's like a window sheet with this coating on there, and it allowed it to adhere on there. And that was really great. And I've still got some of that that I have, because projectors don't really exist anymore now with computers and everything. So I've sort of had a look around, and I don't think you can get the those sheets anymore. So the other thing that I've been looking into is something a lot of the Close to My Heart ladies, or a couple of them, have been using, and it's an adhesive back, and it's very sheer. I think it's a window something. It's put out by Avery, and from what I can see, it's not something that's readily available here in Australia, and it isn't something that is very expensive, put it that way. So I sort of haven't gone into great depths of trying to get that either at the moment. Now, what I'm trying to do here while I was talking to you is starting to separate some of these. So I'm just sort of using my eye and my trimmer to cut these up into strips. So you don't need to cut them all the same depth. You can cut them at different depths if you want. I'm just sort of trimming this down to, at the moment, so just taking away all the excess off my sides. As I said, I tried to keep this in around about that 9.5. I think I've gone a little bit over, so I'm going to go up to 9.9. Don't really want to go much more than that. So I've cut that down into a strip like that, and now I'm going to cut this down into strips. So I'm just using the groove in my trimmer up here as a guide, and I'm just eyeballing these strips. So I'm just going to cut each one of these up into strips. They may eventually get cut down to different lengths, but at the moment I'm just judging this pretty much by eye. And just cutting these down. Oh, that's okay, Deborah. Okay, so there's all my journaling strips done. And this is a really great way to do it if your journaling is more in point form, so which mine is. So I want to start with my family reunion on the 6th. So it's probably going to go about there. Then I've got Lynette, my sister, arrived in Australia for a long-awaited visit after many years. So you can see this one here, the top one, I can trim down if I wanted to. If you're going to trim one down, you've got to trim them more down, and I think most of these are all within that the same sort of width. So I might just leave them all the same width. This is the first time Lynette had seen our boys in approximately 10 years, so that might go in next. This is really a great way if you're just wanting to sort of not quite sure what order you want to put them in. Actually, I might bring that one down and pop this one in here. It was wonderful to see her. It was just a pity James, that is her son, wasn't able to come out. And then it was great seeing all the cousins together. Okay, I might bring all of them down because I've got the last one I think I want to have. All the family except Hayden and James got together at Mudgee at Our Chow Barandalla Wines. Okay, so that's roughly where that's all going to go. So I'm going to start from the bottom one and work my way back up. And again, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on either end. Now, because, you know, the reason why I haven't done a journaling box on this is because I wanted some of the paper to actually show through. I didn't want to cover up. And that's where vellum, or using a like, as I said, the plastic sheet was always great because you could just see right through. Another good way too is because you can put your photos onto computer, and you can if you've got a program on your computer where you can add wording and so forth, like PicMonkey or even Canva, you could add your journaling straight onto your photos. So you can, I've got a magazine that came out probably 20 odd years ago, which gives some really good ideas of how you can do some journaling directly onto your photos of using different programs that was around then. It's a lot easier today, and the sort of things that you can do is do over the top of your photos, say in, as I said, in either in PicMonkey or in Canva, is you would do like a light grey box and fade it out, and then you would do your journaling over the top of that, and then you could just print it straight up like a regular photo. I haven't done it for years, but one day I'll have to do it so I can show you what I mean. But don't just think journaling has to happen in a box or has to happen on vellum or, you know, in strips like this. You can add your journaling to your photos. Okay, so there's my journaling. So now I want to do a little bit of decorating. So I'm going to just get rid of all my little scraps and off-cut pieces here. And let's bring in I need a tray or something to put all these bits and pieces on so I don't lose them. Let's bring all these in. So let's get rid of that. So what I'm going to do, because we've got a whole stack of bits and pieces, I'm going to remove all the things I know I don't want. So I don't want that strip. I don't want these boxes here. Now, that's something else too. That pops out, but if you wanted to, you could add your journaling into that and make that your journaling. So let's just get, but I'm not using any of these. So these are all the pieces that you can use for card fronts and whatever. And I'm going to remove all of those because they're not going to get used. There's another frame there we don't need. So got rid of those. So then we've got these pieces here left. So I'm just going to bring in both of these. I hope you can see this well enough. So let's have a look and see what we can add for some decorations. So we could add things in here, and you can tuck them in behind your photos or tuck them around, but you want to sort of like, you've only got a few of each one, so you just want to make sure that what you're doing on one side, you're not so much replicating it, but you're balancing it out on the other side. I've got a lot of green here, so there's no point me adding too much here, but I might put something around there. Just might leave that piece for the moment, and let's just have a look got this piece here. I don't think that's going to work just at the moment. You've got a lot of frames and things like that. Don't be afraid of tucking them in and around your work. You could put, if you wanted to, I'm not going to use this, but you could put that frame in somewhere like that so it looks like a wreath, but it's just tucked in around it. So just have a play with some of your bits and pieces. I don't think I want that bit. I do like a lot of these bits and pieces here, so I might pop that one in there. I like these little flowers, so you can just pop a few on here. And I just like to do like a dry fit, just sort of having a little bit of a play and seeing what's going to work. And don't remember too, because I've matted this, I can add some of these instead of going underneath the mat. I can just pop that in underneath the photo. That one there, we could use that. We wanted to add a little bit of a filler. Now I tend not to want to put glue on my photos themselves, so I'll be tucking them in and putting glue underneath. That's nice, but I might use that over here somewhere, we'll see. We might just pop that there for the moment. Another one of these, that's going in a different direction than the other one was, so that could work quite well with that down in that corner because it's sort of going around your photos. This one here is going around the photo that way. This one here is going around. This one here is going out a little bit. That's okay because it gives you that nice round flow. There's another one that you could tuck it in if you wanted to get that whole wreath effect. It's not quite the colours that I want to use, so I'm going to pop that to one side. That's a lovely wreath as well. If you wanted to, you could cut that in half and have half on this side, half on another, but I don't need it with this one, so I won't use that. Same with that one. I don't think I need that one at the moment. Just remember, you can cut some of these up. I'm just going to keep that to one side for the moment. And that one I'm going to keep to one side. This one here, again, could work quite well going into there if you wanted that there. I'll just pop that there for the moment. That's a corner piece. I don't really want that. There's another corner piece. It's not going to quite work with my layout. There's another leaf piece, which I quite like. So I like to just get a few of these bits and pieces and put them to one side and sort of, okay, these are a few things that I could work with. Even that there, that could work maybe quite well as well. Just add a bit of flowers on top of that because I just want to add a little bit of extra in there. This is a nice one. I like this. I love the flowers in this. So even if I wanted to, I could remove all of that. And add that into there. That's quite pretty. Have that going in there. Do like to have that one there. There was actually another one of these. I tend to be a very symmetrical sort of thinker. I like to keep things fairly balanced. There's another nice set of leaves that will work around. No, that might be just too much, that one. Pop those up there for the moment. There's another corner. Another one of that piece there in a different direction. So another bouquet. There's another one of that one. So that one there I could actually bring in. Bring that in down there a bit. Or it could go, let's just move all of these out of the road. That could look quite nice there as well. Don't have as much room, so I don't need to have, this just needs to be a bit bigger here and a bit balanced out. Still keep those two pieces there. There's a couple of more wreaths here. This one here you can easily stamp in the middle of it if you're doing it on a card. Same with that one, but I won't be using those, nor that one. This one here you can stamp across there, but also too, I was thinking earlier, if you wanted to, you could cut that in half if you wanted to add, for example, a piece down there somehow. I'll just move that up so you can see. So there's a lot here you can sort of play around with. We've got another one of those, which is good. And there is another one there. Another corner piece. A couple of more nice wreaths. And that one, I'm just going to pop those there and some little flowers as well. And there's three more flowers I've got in a bag. So, but I think at the moment I'm going to take these out, but I may use them. I think I'm starting to like that a little bit. So I'm going to pop some of these on here. So start, because I want it to complement this section here and give it a bit of balance. But again, I'm just going to pop dimensionals, not on the flower part itself, but I'm putting it on either side of it because that will actually straddle over my photo. But I'm not putting any dimensionals at the end because that will allow me to tuck things in underneath, because I like those there probably tucked in. So that one can go there, and then this one here. And I like that they've done 2 or 3 of some of these things, because then you can and I'm just going to bring that one just in a little bit, but still there, and I might put something else down here yet, just to sort of give it a bit of balance. So now the leaves, now I'm either don't want to go too big, I don't think. Let's see what else there is. Could even go that one and cut it. This is something that usually takes me a little while to do because I like to sort of fiddle around a little bit. But don't be frightened of actually cutting a few things. Okay. Definitely like that there. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue. On there, and I'm just tucking that in underneath there, and then this one here. tuck that in there. Now I've got 3 of these. They sort of get a little bit lost because they're very similar in colour. I'm actually thinking of taking this one, and you could even do some of this with some of the other wreaths, is just cut it in half and tucking them in and around. Just to fill in some of those holes. Now this photo here is my focal point, so I'm going to make this one, probably put a lot more into this, and then 2 onto this other side. Now, do have some of these flowers. 1, 2, there should be another one here somewhere. Sure, we tucked another one over here. So I think I'm quite happy with that one. Let me just remove these and then let's have a look at this. So I haven't overcrowded that page. So if I still want to add a title on there, such as family or something like that, I can do. So I'm just going to pop that to one side, and let's have a look at this one here and see if there's anything else. So we've got that one there, which is quite simple. We've got a lot happening on this page as we've got all this journaling and everything. So I mean, I do quite like that, but I just don't know whether that's a little bit too... And initially I did say I did want to use that one, but just feel like I need something down here that's quite small, but I'm not quite sure yet what. I'm just going to have another quick look through these. As I said, you can cut some of these down, like that's quite fine. Popping this under here just to see. So even just popping something in like that, let me just lift that up so you can see. It's just adding that little bit of extra, which is just sort of balancing that out a little bit. So these flowers match those flowers in there, so that's why I keep going back to these, but I don't know whether... So that's the other thing, is I could tuck that into there. Let's just have a look at those 2 pages together. Oops, I'm just trying to lift that up. Because I haven't stuck this down overly well with the adhesive, I can probably still lift that up just gently if I wanted to bring that down into that corner there. Does it look funny with those going in the opposite direction? That's the thing. Just I don't like those. I think actually I quite like that there. And I might just pop a little bit of glue underneath there. And then that's my decision made. That can be glued down. So I really think that that's it. I don't like putting lots of heavy, like bling and that on scrapbook pages, because if you've got an album that's quite full, you can leave marks on your page. I'm just going to see if, I don't know whether I can, I'm just going to lift this up a bit. So I've just lifted up my camera just so I can bring that in so you can sort of see all of that hopefully together. So that's my finished page. I may, as I said, I may add a title to this yet. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure where I'd fit it though. But anyway, I hope you like that. I hope that you have a play with this particular specialty paper. I hope this has encouraged you a little bit to maybe try to do a little bit of scrapbooking yourself. I'm trying to get back into it, but it's been a long time since I've done scrapbooking, since I've been in Stampin' Up. It's probably 13 years before I've done a lot of it. So I'm sort of very slowly getting myself back into it again. But there's lots of ideas and everything on Pinterest. You don't need to copy somebody's idea. You can just take elements of it that inspires you and go from there. So basically, don't be afraid of it. Just jump in and have a go. And if you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to ask me. So I hope you've had a lovely day. I hope you've enjoyed this. I am going to go now and do a bit of housework, I suppose. Get things clean up this room, that's for certain. And maybe even play and see if I can come up with a title for this on my silhouette. Okay, so have a lovely day. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. Thank you all for joining me. I'm really grateful for you all jumping on. And as I said before, please like my YouTube channel if you're on YouTube, and please share my video on Facebook if you wish, as well as YouTube. So take care, have a lovely weekend, and bye for now.